thought you would rob my people of their day of freedom? It is I, Hector, who this day will shine amongst my comrades. You will lie here in the dust while the vultures eat your body. For Troy! For Troy! For Troy! Wow, you're a really lively crowd, aren't you? Oh well, we tried to start the day off with a bang for you. Welcome to the Royal Armouries. My name's Keith. This is David, the two of the interpreters. Our job is to try and bring the museum to life for you. Was an exciting battle scene from the Iliad, which is an ancient Greek adventure story pitting the Trojans from Troy against the Greeks. In this part of the story, Hector, who's the prince of Troy, kills Patroclus, who is the really close companion of Achilles, is one of the greatest of all the Greek heroes. And by killing Patroclus, Hector has sealed his own fate.
Yes, now the Iliad is one of the most famous poems to come out of ancient Greece. It was written by a mysterious poet whose name was Homer, roughly around the 8th century BCE. And it gives us a story about the semi-mythical war between the cities of Troy and the cities of Greece. But not only that, it also gives us a little insight into how the ancient Greeks may have fought. For example, for the longest time now, scholars have often agreed on an orthodox view. They believe that the Greeks conducted their warfare using only heavy infantry and only a formation known as the phalanx. The idea is that the two sides will come towards each other, they'll use their spears, and then they'll use their shields,
to smash.
and it's the one side that remains to push the other off the battlefield that wins the day. However, rather excitingly, modern scholars have started to relook at these old sources, and they've actually come to completely different conclusions. They actually believe that the Greeks used skirmishers, light and heavy infantry, cavalry, chariots. They believe the Greeks had a far more versatile and mobile force on those battlefields. Now, which one's right, I'm afraid, is still being hotly debated. But quite frankly, I don't care what the smart people think. I care what you guys think. So what do you think? How does it fall? Why don't you listen to the Iliad here and get an idea?
At last the armies clash at one strategic point. They slide their shields together, pike scrape pike, with the grappling strength of warriors armed in bronze. Their round shields pounded boss on welded boss, and the sound of struggle roared and rocked the earth. Screams of men, cries of triumph breaking in one breath. Fighters killed, the ground streamed with blood, wildly like two winter torrents raging down from the mountains, swirling into a valley, hurl their great waters together, flash floods from the well springs, plunging down to a gorge, miles away in the hills. A shepherd hears the thunder. Thus, from the armies, grinding armies, came the cries and clash of war.
Well, that was pretty epic. It was very nicely done. Now, going back to the epic poem itself, it doesn't just tell us how the Greeks fought, it also gives us plenty of information on what they fought with, as example here.
As when a glittering fire rages through an immense forest on the mountain height, and from afar the flare shows forth, so the gleam of the sublime bronze of marching men glinting through a clear sky reached heaven.
Now, this is a description of the Greek warriors, or hoplites as they would have called them, arriving on the battlefield for the first time, adorned in their wonderful bronze armour. Now, in terms of armour, many of the Greek warriors would have gone to battle wearing something very similar to me. They would have had a helmet. This particular one is known as the Corinthian helmet, and it's got this one bit of bronze that wraps around the face, protecting the head of the fighter. Then you've got your breast and your back, protecting your torso, and on the lower leg they would wear greaves made of bronze, protecting the calf and the shin.
Now you might be thinking to yourselves, hold on though, the arms are still vulnerable, the upper parts of the legs are still vulnerable, and yes, this is true. But they were protected by the aspis. The aspis is this big round wooden shield, often faced with bronze and overpainted various designs. And in fact, in later centuries, many Greek warriors did away with much of their upper body armour and trusted to the aspis alone.
But what were they wearing this armour for? Well, it's because they were going against weapons such as the spear. Now, the spear was one of the most popular weapons of its day. In the time of the Iliad, we would have seen bronze heads or iron heads, and both the spear would have a weighted part at the bottom here known as a serrator. Now, that was there to balance the spear, and that meant the fighter could use the spear to thrust or indeed to strike with far more ferocity.
So here's another bit from the Iliad. Right. Antilochus was the first to kill a Greek captain. Antilochus thrust first, speared the horsehair helmet right upon the ridge. And the bronze spear point lodged in the man's skull, smashing through into his brains, and the dart came whirling down across his eyes. He toppled down like a tower in the rough assault.
Oh, very grisly indeed. Now, in the chaos of battle, one might lose their spear or have it broken. And so there was another weapon you could rely upon, and that was the sword. Now, there are two types of swords around in this time period in ancient Greece. We have our xiphos, which is a leaf-shaped blade, perfect for slicing and thrusting into your opponent.
What's this one called? Coppice. Oh, that's the one, yeah. So this is the coppice. I've been talking about it all morning, you see, and then you get a short circuit in your head. So this is the coppice. This was almost completely designed for thrusting. Very useful as a cavalry weapon.
Now, the hoplite of ancient Greece was a formidable foe on those battlefields, and they would cement themselves as one of the most iconic warriors in history. But let's steer away from the history now, and let's go back to the poem. Let's go back to the Iliad. Let's go back to where Hector will finally face Achilles, where Hector will face his doom.
But good, good that I cannot escape this fate. For how would I ever have returned to my city and face the wives of the men who died under my command? Better to have courage this day, Better to die here than to face the shame of my people. Achilles! There you are. Die! I know how this ends. You are the most formidable warrior on the battlefield. It is ordained that you should kill me. And yet, it need not be. I say to you, Achilles, let us not fight. It is your king who foolishly wastes Greek warriors' lives in his quarrel with my brother. Go back to your own lands. Let me go back to my city, to my wife, to my son.
Oh, Hector! It is true, I care little for this war. But it was you that killed he who was most dear to me.
God.
It was you that killed Patroclus, and it will be your life that I will take payment for his.
The prophecy is almost done. I am spent. I have one last request. When I am dead, send my body back to the city so that my family may bury me and mourn my passing.
Oh, Hector. Lions do not hear the pleas of men.
For Greece!
No, I think I won't take your body back to your family. No, Hector, I think I'll leave your body here for the dogs. For Greece! Do not weep, Trojans. I sent your prince to Hades, and you will soon be joining him. Fetch my chariot. I have an example made of this one.
And he did. Because Achilles lashed the body of Hector to his chariot and rode him several times round the city of Troy. Then dragged him back to his camp and refused to surrender the body. It was a terrible, wicked, brutal act.
But the story doesn't end there. The last chapter of the Iliad describes how Priam, father of Hector, king of Troy, sneaks into the Greek camp at night to find Achilles and beg for his son's body back. Now Achilles, impressed by the old man's bravery, invites him in, and the two will spend their night talking and cries over those they have lost in this awful war. And it's this last chapter where I think Homer is trying to tell us that no matter if you're sworn enemies, you will still find common ground. And no matter how glorious war might first seem, in the end it takes from us all. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the show.